For the next step, we're going to need the drive screw nut. Some more number 2 screws. Some washers. A couple more 3D printed components. This one. And this one. And we're also going to need a servo motor. Now, the kit comes with a servo motor here, but I'm going to try and use kind of the sister version of that servo motor. This is the SM-S3317SR. I have here an SM-S3317M. This one here is metal gears inside of it, where this one has nylon gears inside. So I'm hoping that this one, and if you look at the spec sheet, this one has a little bit more torque. So I'm hoping that this one will work out a little bit better than this one does. So I'm going to put this one back, and it's time to start working through these steps. Oh, you'll notice that there's a little tiny screw right here that actually comes with the servo motor kit. If you look inside the parts bag that comes with it, you'll see some longer screws, and then you'll see a little tiny screw right here for fastening these different servo horns to the servo motor. So the first step is to take the motor itself and position it over this little hole in this component right here, and then just push down. Now this is one of the benefits of using the metal part. I think it's going to make those teeth a little bit better and easier. I'm going to get my full body weight over the top of it so I can really push down really hard. And if you can see, there's still some gap there. I want to push down, keep pushing down really hard on it. So I'm going to get back and actually use both my hands so I can really push. You can see now there's no gap between this plastic 3D printed plastic piece here and the servo motor housing here. So now we're going to put a small washer right on top here. Right there. And then we're going to take one of the screws, one of the tiny screws that came with the servo motor itself, and we're going to screw it right in here. Now, because this one is a metal one, I think mine is it's actually a little tiny bolt instead of a screw, where yours, if it comes with the servo motor version that has nylon pieces, it's probably a screw. Go ahead and run it in here, and I'm going to run it backwards just a little bit to try and get my threads to line up so I don't accidentally strip them out. Alright, the next step is to take the drive screw nut and fit it through this part, push it through, and then fit it right here. And so they fit together just like puzzle pieces there. And now I'm going to take 3 of these screws, the number 2 screws, and line them up in the 3 holes that look open here. Try and twist them in a little bit by hand if I can, just to help them get started. And run them the rest of the way in. And they're all recessed just a little bit. Next, we're going to expand the servo assembly to include the servo mount. We're going to need 4 of the rubber grommets that come in the hardware bag for this servo. So that's these things right here. Set 4 of them right there. And then the 3D printed mount here, this piece right here. And we're going to need the other type of screws that come with our kit, the number 6 screws, or we'll need 4 of those. So I have everything that I need here for the next step. So I'm going to fit the mount over the servo assembly as shown here, like this. Looks like I have to expand it just a tad to get it to fit over. There we go. So just to show you that again, I have to open it up a little bit. Be careful, you don't want to open it up too much and break it. Just barely enough to get it to where it'll go past that little part that we just added. Get it positioned in the right spot. On the back side, we're supposed to put these rubber mounts here. Fit right in between those little mounting sections. So this part is a part that it's maybe hard to see in the video, but when you press those in, part of the rubber's on one side of this flange here and part of the rubber's on the other. I'll do that over here so you can see it real closely. Take it and I just push it right in there, just like that. Do the same thing right over here. Now that those are in the right spot, I'm going to use my number 6 thread cutting screws to fasten these 2 items together. It'll take some force here. It's not going easy. Get it to where it's snug, no more. Okay. Now it's time to trim the flange, so that the flange of the cylinder, so that I can attach these 2 things. So I've got my syringe right here, and I am going to measure a 1/16 of an inch from the barrel of the syringe. So that's a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch. So it's just barely away from the barrel. It's going to be right there. And it looks like it cuts something like that all the way around. Just barely leaving anything behind. And then on the other side, mark the other side with a straight line following the second ridge from the outside. So that is right here. There's little tiny ridges on here. It may not come through. Oh, you can see them in the video. Yeah, so we want that second ridge. Now I'm going to take my scissors, just regular old scissors, and cut along these two lines I just made. And it's going to be kind of hard cutting. This isn't really what scissors were made to do, but they can do the job. Okay, and you can see on the other side how there's just a little bit of a ridge, or about a 1/16 of an inch left. And over here, I'm cutting right on that second ridge. And it's such a hard thing to do that I just broke my scissors. So you can see how much force I'm putting on these. Make sure you're using a stronger pair of scissors than the ones I have. There we go. Trim just a little bit more off there. And now it's cut the way it needs to be cut. Now I need to lubricate this bolt. Now, some lubrication came in the tools bag, so I'm reaching into my tools bag right now to grab this little container that says synthetic grease. And it's got a little part where I can rip it right here. So I'm going to rip the end. And if I want to keep my hand from getting too messy, I can go ahead and put on my glove. I'm going to go ahead and do that just to keep from getting too messy. And squirt some grease on there. And then I'm just going to wipe that on with my glove, just like so, all the way around. This is going to make that bolt go in and out of the nut much, much more smoothly. I'm twisting it around so it gets it on all sides of the bolt. Okay. So now that that's been greased up, take my glove back off. And I'll set it somewhere where it's not going to get everything else that I set it on all greasy. And I'm going to put it together. So I'm going to screw the bolt into the syringe here. It doesn't need to go all the way in, just enough for things to be stable here. And then I can just push it in for the rest of this exercise. And then you can see I've aligned the elongated end here with the part of the servo that sticks out. Okay, so I want to make sure that when I punch the first hole that holds these things together, that this is lined up. If they're not lined up, I'm going to have some major problems. So they're lined up, and I'm going to mark, let's see here, I'm going to mark this hole right here. I got a Sharpie just for that purpose. Looks like I got to do the top part there. I'm going to put a little corner right where I want to poke my hole. One of the other tools I have is these push pins. So I'm going to go ahead and push this push pin in right there right now. And I think they included 4 because that would allow us to put all 4 holes in at the same time. Push really hard to get that in there. Okay, so that one's lined up. I'm going to go ahead and get another push pin, line up the next one. Now that I've put them all in, I know that they're, because I left the push pins in, I know that they're all lined up in the right places. So now I can take them out. And I can take out this part of it. I'm not going to take it all the way out. I'm just going to move it enough that I can go ahead and do my drilling now. And in my tools, I have one more tool here, a bit, or another tool, a drill bit. And everywhere I put the push pin, I'm going to just line that bit up. And I can actually just do it by hand. I don't need any special tool here. I just twist the bit and see it cut right through there. Okay, do that in all 4 spots. Once you get done drilling all of these holes, the next step is to attach the push button switch to the servo assembly. So here's the push button switch we worked on, and it's supposed to fit right in here, just like so. It sits right in there. Once you get it into the right spot, you're going to take a hot glue gun and shoot some hot glue in there to hold it in place. Now, if you get a little too much hot glue in there, that's okay. You just need to let it cool. Once it's cooled, go ahead and fit your item together here. I'm going to make sure that push button is pushed in all the way. Looks like it is, but I'm just going to double check it. And yes, it is. Okay. Now I'm going to take the number 2 screws with 2 washers. I'm going to put 2 washers on each one, just like this. And screw them into the holes that I pre-drilled earlier.